sector, so that government are enjoying, so it's becoming exhausted now, which is oil sector. And oil sector is no longer lucrative. So instead of our previous government and
it's no longer lucrative.
It's no longer lucrative.
Okay.
It's no longer in the essence that
in the essence that
the money is not sufficient for them. So as they used to, as they used to have it, the money is no longer sufficient. Instead of the leaders, previous and present administration to diversify that money that's coming from that sector into some other sector, so where we are going to have more foreign exchange. So they refuse to do that. So that is why, so we are now put all our hope, all our muscle on this whatever that come from customs. And the effect is that the whatever we have on ground now, we should look into some other resources. We have been blessed with several resources in this country, but our government seem not to look into it. So what they will quickly benefit is that's why, so we see borrowing all the time. So, and whatever we borrow, so we should be able to invest it on infrastructure, so that we bring about a locally developed economy. So that is what we need. So we should shift focus on whatever custom we bring. So that's what we need to do.
If I will look at what can bring a reduction to tariff, as you rightly put in your question, I think there is a need for the importers to engage government. They can't engage custom. Custom has a target to meet, and they will go all out to meet their target. But it's left for industrialists, importers, and all categories, which of course has been in the past. And you have seen the government, for example, I remember very well during Obasanjo, General Obasanjo, there were a lot of reduction that the Minister of Finance spelled out at that time, because the importers went to meet government and said, look, you are killing our industry, you are killing our business. If you are getting this much from what we are bringing in, we have to pay salary, we have to generate electricity, we have to do all sorts of things, and you are still charging this much from the raw materials we need for our industry. You are killing us. And the government listened to them, because the truth of the matter is the people will bear the brunt. So, and the government is for the people. So they shouldn't just keep quiet. If you go to the market now, if you look at the prices of car, it's so huge. People, it's quite unaffordable to people. And when you look at it, you won't blame those who are retailing it for the fact that they have to look at the exchange rate. Of course, which the government knows that it is because of the poor economy that the exchange rate has gone up so high. But a situation where they take so much again at the point of entry, at the port of entry, will be too much damning to their business. Okay. So there is a need to engage government, so that at least there could be reliefs. And all industrialists too, from time to time, we have been seeing them receiving some reduction in various aspects of goods that are brought in, just to encourage industrialization.
All right. On that note, we'll have to open the phone lines right about now to also have our viewers out there to contribute on the program this evening. The numbers for you to actually participate, it's 090-7072-0890. The numbers again are 090-7072-0890. And do remember, you'll have to turn down the audio level of your TV set and ensure that you move away from it while you're trying to call into the program as well this evening. All right, I'm just thinking, let me go back to Mr. Ogunlano. I'm just thinking, why set a target? Because here it appears that we are focused on customs. If you look at other agencies of government that have been placed on target, and that's where they get their salaries from, you see how desperate they are to get you. Sometimes they might even ask you, if you begin to name them, why don't you have a fire extinguisher? Why don't you have a blade? Why don't they ask you very funny things just to bill you, just to get something out of you. And the questions many Nigerians will always ask is, what is their target this time around? Are they trying to frustrate people? Why would the government at all begin to place targets on agencies? Shouldn't there be functioning and of course produce to a maximum level? instead of the government giving them targets?
Well, I came across it last year, early this year, that government is trying to make use of also a recommendation where some other agency, redundant agencies, are going to be submerged, so some will be relieved. We have up to about 600 agency and departments at the federal there that are redundant, that are just there consuming, receiving salary. So, but the few one are this custom that they are taxing. So it is the duty of government to make sure that some other redundant agency should be try to probably they will scrap it, or probably so they will give them target as well. But the reason they give this current target is, I see it as abysmal, because this cost all along is going to bring negative effect to the downtrodden, and effect has been, people have been feeling the effect, as you already said now. There's some imported goods that are unaffordable now by the citizens of the country, because of the inflation, because of the high price. But what I think government should do now is to shift focus on custom alone. We have Nigeria Exporting Zone Authority, so whereby we have free zone. So they should look into that one as well. And at the same time, our government should look into some other aspects of our economy, so that the focus will
How do we diversify the economy? That appears to be sounds like a broken record. That's what many analysts, economists have been saying for a very long time, but we are still within the confines of those little agencies that have been generating money for the government. How then do we diversify the economy itself?
For instance, if government, we have a federal land revenue, so there is one of the major income generating agency. So, and there are some other sector, so where they are producing in the country, they are generating some more income from, but we have this other agency, NICTF, Insurance Trust Fund, but people are not even sincere. The corruption within the system, the corruption within the agency, so it's too much. So that is why the focus is majorly based on custom and federal land revenue.
All right, let me come back to the fact that our economy appears to be import-based. And now, in spite of the fact that custom has made us understand that it's about 110% of export for 2021, obviously, if you look at that figure, it's huge. But the reality on ground is we are more or less import-based. Now, if that happens, how do we open up the economy for agencies like customs to, get their revenue, looking at their targets for this year?
Let me go back a little bit. I will answer your question. You see, if the government does not set targets, then it's going to be a free-for-all. Why they set target is the fact that they know what is likely accruable. The Ministry of Finance is monitoring what is coming in. And if they don't really tight the nose of the custom men, they know nothing will come.
Hello, good morning. Sorry, Reverend Koye. Let's take this call. Hello, good evening.
Evening.
Please go ahead. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from your state.
Please go ahead.
I feel that's why I don't get like it because of that.
Can you hear me?
Not because
we can hardly pick what you're saying. Can you speak up a little bit more?
I need now. I feel if I don't have it,
okay, the line is obviously breaking. We hope that you can call us back because we can hardly have a grasp of what you're saying.
Okay. As I was trying to say, there should be a target. And but the target should be a reasonable target. And you said again, how do we open up the economy? We open up the economy by encouraging export. You see, within the nation itself, I cannot say the government is saying we have to diversify. How much has government put into agricultural diversification? I gave a simple example. I've written to the presidency about it, that the NYSC scheme, National Youth Service Scheme, sending our youth for a 1-year holiday, and the government paying them for doing nothing, in quotes, nothing, at the end of the day, is not achieving any process. Let the 1 year be a 1-year agricultural training for the youth. Let them convert that scheme, the NYSC scheme, to an agricultural scheme, and let us face agric headlong, and you will know that definitely there is a true diversification. But in a situation where some farmers here and there are encouraged, you give them fertilizer, you give them back loans, and we expect them to diversify the agric, it can't work that way. There must be meaningful approach. For example, look at the 774 local government we have in Nigeria. The government should give them a target that each of the local government should work on the agricultural process of what they can produce in their domain. Anybody who can produce cassava, anybody who can have fishery, anybody who can have all sort of things, whatever. If it's yam, if it's pineapple, 774 local government putting money into that, encouraging it. Look at what the yield will be within 2-3 years. But the diversification they have been mentioning, I see it more on the papers and in their speeches than in reality. The customs said they have 110 whatever. If this is done, they will have a boomerang of exports, and more money will come into the economy. So it needs seriousness on the part of government, and government should stop just making speeches. They should match their word with action, so that we can really see the effect of it in the economy.
All right, before we go ahead, let me just call out the numbers again for those who want to participate before we actually go on the program this evening. The numbers are 09070720890. The numbers again are 09070720890.
09? No, you missed it. 0980.
Yes, 0890. Okay, it's right on the screen.
It's on the screen.
So you can actually pick it up there on the screen to actually call us on the program. All right, let me go back to Mr. Rotimi Ogunlano. Now we're looking at how explicit our economy has been and the think tank of the government when it comes to instances like this. Now you have very intelligent people being brought into this administration to look at the economy itself. But in spite of all of this, we still have what appears to be like a quagmire within the economic sector of Nigeria. Many have been complaining about inflationary rates. The government have been saying that there is budget deficit, in spite of the fact that Custom is saying that this is what they are generating. As of 2021, the figure is quite very appreciable. And now if all of this has happened and our economy is still where we are today, does it mean that we can't account for some of these monies that we get internally, that we have to go outside, to get it, to fix all our deficit? How do we look at this?
To get it right, we have to cut the cost of governance. That's number one. So the current expenditure in every year. So government, it's very important for government to look into it. There are the budget on the current expenditure sometimes is even higher than capital projects. Capital expenditure.
So are you suggesting right sizing?
Yes, that's number one.
Right sizing?
Yeah.
Of the public sector?
Yeah. Secondly, there is no sincerity from people that are generating this in every sector, major sector that are generating money in the country. So that is why we have been having it so bad. So what we have, our Nigeria has been blessed. So it's what we generate in the country. So if there's no corruption, so if our people are if there's accountability, so there's no need for us to go and look outside the country to go and borrow borrow to finance our budget. In the nation, we have a single person that can borrow the whole nation whatever they need. So, and that corruption still continue. So the only way we can get it right is for government to, number one, to cut cost of governance. So to try as much as possible to sanitize.
How do they achieve the aspect of cutting cost of governance? Because if you look at the figures being reeled out every year for budgetary allocation in some areas, what do we need to start doing about that?
They should start from themselves, leadership by sample. So they should, some allowances that are attached to their emolument. So the number one man of this nation should be able to tell us that these allowances, so myself, I make sacrifice, some other will do that sacrifice. That's number one. Secondly, you should try as much as possible to reduce some redundancy in some agency and department that are not bringing anything down to the table of government. So that's where the recurrent expenditure is being going on. So yes, so that's why they are, most money are being are going. So they should try to cut down on. So, and at the same time, target should be given to each state governor.
By who?
By the federal government.
And so what happens to federal structure
that is
governance?
That is why we
if the federal government is giving them
that is why we are clamoring for structuring. So this system, we have been making use of this system for so long time, but we have never seen change. We have never seen any difference. So if some aspect of exclusive constitution is being given to the states, so states should look inward to generate its own money, to generate its own resources, to finance its own states. So tax should be sent to the central. That's number one. It will encourage comparative advantage. For instance, if only cassava Oyo State can grow, and Oyo State can grow yam, so there should be a kind of competition. There should be a kind of exchange. If a cow that north can send to the south, so if the yam the south can send to the north, so it will bring a kind of competition, and the money will be circulating within the economy. So our economy will be improved. But as you rightly said, most of the promises that agriculture promises is on paper. So it's just a rhetoric. So we have never seen any action, and our people are not ready. So, but the onus depends on leaders. So if you have a good leaders, so we have a good follower. But a nation where there's no good leaders, so we don't expect any good followers. So they should try as possible to diversify from lazy economy. At a point, someone suggested this marijuana, so in the state to be cultivating it, but they look at the religious view that no, it's not being encouraged here. Whereas in some nation, so they are making a lot of money on it. If an entertainment industry attracts $5 trillion in a year, so there are some other aspects that our government are closed their eyes to. So if we have human resources, people that are intelligent people in the corridor of power, so they should look into how we can revive this economy. Unfortunately, so people that have idea, they don't have opportunity to be there. So we have a lot of people that can turn things around, this economy around, but they don't have access to the government. So that is why we are having
because our time is fast spent. Let me go back to Reverend Koyi. What are your parting shots, and what do you expect from custom this year?
You see, there's a difference between government and governance. What has affected us in Nigeria is people come to government, but they don't understand governance. And just as my partner said not too long ago, ability to put the right people in the right ministry to work, ability to use the brain of experts to achieve results. We need a lot of that. Everything shouldn't bother on politics. We play too much politics in this country with everything, and that ought not to be. Politics is just a means to get into power, but the moment you are in power, the focus should be the nation. And everybody should come together at that point in time to develop the nation. And you don't expect somebody who has taken years to study in the ivory towers to be begging politicians for this or that. We need to look for them, the right caliber of people. They asked Henry Ford what was the secret of his success. It's the ability to put people together to achieve results. That is what is lacking in our government. The more we do that, the better it will be for us.
All right, we just opened the phone calls for the first time on the Lens this year. We hope that, we'll get used to it and we'll have more people call into the program. Our time is far spent on the program this evening. I've been speaking to Reverend Koyila Dele and, of course, Mr. Rotimi Ogulana. Thank you so much, sir, for being here this evening. And, of course, that's our program on the Lens this week. To join us again next week for another interesting edition. My name is Bolabo Fimosko. Bye for now.
We are going to do whatever it takes